Hello, and welcome to day 3 of Outshine Virtual Film Festival for the Q&A of It's Ladies Night and the Feelin's Right Shorts program. I'm Jen Kritz, the board vice chair, and guess who's here? It's Ebony Rhodes, our board secretary. Hi, Ebony. How you doing? You're looking good.
Thank you. I was just telling you that I've never seen a time when you don't look great. So happy to just, to try to match where you are. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, Ebony, go on.
Let's go on. But we've got a great program. We just saw a great sports program, and I know I'm excited to, get into the discussion with the great talent we have here tonight. So,
absolutely. So, Ebony, tell us about our community partner.
So tonight's shorts program was sponsored. We have a community partner. It's Lambda Living, which is a program for LGBTQ seniors, which is a program of the Jewish Community Center. So I think we have a great video showing the work that they do.
Hi, I'm Cindy Brown. I'm the program manager for Lambda Living, which is Jewish Community Services program for LGBT seniors. Jewish Community Services has been doing programming for the LGBT community for almost 30 years and has a long-term commitment to the community. Jewish Community Services has a full array of programs that are culturally competent, sensitive, and appropriate for LGBTQ persons of any age. With the impact of COVID-19 that we experienced beginning in March, our virtual program was in the perfect place to be able to provide these resources and these activities and social interaction with those who are isolated at home at this time. If you're interested in getting involved with our LGBT programs, the phone number is 305-364-5319. You can also visit our website, jcsfl.org/lambda.
What a great organization.
Yeah.
So, speaking of great things, I hope that everyone enjoyed watching the shorts. They were an incredible group of shorts. I watched all of them earlier today, and not a dry eye in my apartment by myself, I have to say. What about you, Ebony?
Absolutely. I felt the quality was just amazing. Every year, it's just great to keep seeing great film being produced. And like I said, I'm just so excited to get into these conversations because there were just so many deep themes that were, really relevant to.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's bring in our amazing filmmakers. From the Mistress, we have the director, Patti Cruz, and co-screenwriter, Adrián Pérez. Hey, how are you guys?
We're good. Coming in from Puerto Rico in the middle of the storm, but hanging in there.
Thank goodness you guys have power. And Adrián, you from Mexico?
Yeah, I'm here in Mexico. The pandemic got me here, but still with my thoughts in Puerto Rico during the storm.
Absolutely, and we send our prayers your way. From Were You Gay in High School? We have the director, Niki Ang, and the co-writer, cinematographer, Karen Du. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having us.
So happy to hear you.
Thank you.
To have you here from Los Angeles, Karen and Niki.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Wonderful. We have from Encounter the director, Ivan Lowenberg, and the composer, Ingrid Lowe.
Hi, greetings from
Hi.
Mexico City.
Hi.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No, thank you.
Or buenos dias.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Sí.
We have also from Wings, the director, Jamie Weston.
Hello.
And he's from London.
Yep. And it's midnight.
Oh, good. We're going to make this pretty short. It's only going to be 4 or 5 hours and then we're done. So you don't have to worry. You won't be up too late.
Sweet.
So Ebony, get us started here. Let's start first of all talking about the Mistress.
Yeah, so I think it's a perfect segue. We just saw our community partner, Lambda Living, talking about seniors. So my question for Patti and Adrián, if you could just kind of give us some feedback. You know, your film kind of touched on this topic of like true love, standing the test of time, and looking at love in kind of the senior age. So maybe tell us about that. What was the impetus for you creating this story or wanting to tell the story?
Adrián, you want to take a shot at it, Adrián?
Okay. It's kind of strange talking about this film because I feel like we wrote this like 10 years ago. It feels like that. But I think the first feeling that we had is that in Puerto Rico, is very conservative, and especially with the older generations. And I personally, I grew up with a lot of older generation type people. My mom, my aunts, all my family. They were like, for me, from when I was little, I saw everyone way ahead of me in age. And that's why I think I started looking at that, and with the help of Pati and some inspiration from other people, we talked about this story and basically got to it and started writing it. It was also an inspiration. I also used like a short story that my older sister was writing at the time, and I used it also as an inspiration. There's like a mix of a lot of stuff, basically.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about at least in the development of the story, I was thinking a lot about my grandmother and my aunts, you know, whether, because you reach a certain age, or you look at people who reach a certain age, and you think, okay, so everything they have is set, you know, and it cannot change. And I don't believe in that. Like, I believe like change is constant in one's life. So like, I was thinking of my grandmother. My grandmother could have fallen in love in her 60s, and I didn't know it. I mean, I was just like imagining this because my grandmother passed away. But I wanted to believe that my grandmother could fall in love in her 60s. Why not? And like change her life and go after that.
One of the interesting things about the film, in my opinion, was that it was actually the son who seemed to be the more judgmental of the group, and it was the older, you know, group that was more welcoming. Why did you choose to do it that way?
We also we also wanted to, just as we see like older people kind of set in their ways, like as in the younger generation. But I think sometimes the younger generation can sin in thinking that, you know, in thinking that, okay, so like my parents or my grandparents have everything set, like they can't change. They're always gonna be what they are or who they are. And I think, I mean, that's not like a very helpful way of thinking, you know, like because we can tend to like take change in a weird way, or like not go for it, even though it's for something good. I mean, so I think that like the idea for the son to be the kind of the antagonist for the story was that, you know, that we cannot believe maybe like the older generation can change or go for something different than what we're used to. Or at least that's how I look at it. I don't know if Adrián looks at it a different way.
Oh yeah, it's basically that. I think that the song kind of like is kind of like the spectator in a way. Like he kind of he holds on to the spectator's vision, and it also is what gives it also is what gives the short humor, because he's like that X factor in the story, and he thinks something that makes the audience think that way, but it's basically all the contrary. And basically, like seeing some of his point of views also, we can basically like kind of parody a little like some of the younger generation's point of view that Patty's talking about. And I think it's a good mix of different generations and different types of point of views that makes the short work that way.
Ebony, were you going to say something? They interrupted.
No, I did have one follow-up question. I'm just curious because we're talking about older and younger. I also noticed with the film that there's kind of this backdrop of Catholic imagery, you know, kind of in the setting. And so I was wondering maybe if you could speak to that, maybe the tension between like religion and kind of conservative culture, like you're saying, and like queer identity.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that background on Catholicism was really important for the story. I mean, I went to Catholic school all my life. Like the main religion here in Puerto Rico is Catholicism, and it's really hard not to be part of that in your upbringing. I mean, it's just like part of the culture, and it's like it's very conservative in many ways. And since we came from that, or we come from that, we like actually like our values, our initial values in life come from that, and we wanted to like think about what it meant to have a queer identity or like a different, you know, an attraction to the same sex within that tradition, within like the tradition, the rituals of a funeral as well. And we wanted to make it comedic too, because if not, it's going to be a tragedy. You know what I mean? It can be really hard to break away from those traditions or like live within them, because you can't really like break away from them. Like you live in them, but also like how to like not compromise, but like how to have your identity and live within those traditions at the same time. So, and we wanted to do it from like a perspective in comedy and not tragedy, because we didn't want to have this whole like, you know, big dramatic thing going on. But it is a dramatic thing going on, you know, like there's this person looking for the love of her life, and like, you know, it's dramatic, but we wanted to make it funny or like have it in a funny situation.
That's great. It's like the humor kind of breaks the tension a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
there's
Very heartfelt.
there's like a contrast.
There is a contrast. It's so heartfelt because it is very funny, but it's also an emotional thing to watch. You know, I think anytime you do a film that has older people where they're looking back on their time and wishing they might have done something differently, or what, you know, I just, there's so much heart in that, and to break it up with the humor is very, very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
So we have also, thank you guys so much. We're going to get back to all of our filmmakers to discuss things as a group as well. And if the audience has any questions, of course, we encourage everybody to send us their questions. Let me just check. Okay. The next people we want to interview here, Niki Ang and also Karen Du. With regard to were you gay in high school, or were you gay in high school? Ladies, were you gay in high school?
That's the irony of that, isn't it? Because of course, yeah, like I'm queer now, I was queer then, but because I was closeted, the answer is also like, no, I wasn't gay in high school. People who went to high school with me maybe wouldn't have known back then that I was. So, you know, Karen and I have known each other as friends, but the whole time we've been friends, we've been out. And so, you know, it's a really interesting starting point in our script, just being like, hey, tell me about what that was like for you. Like, what were you like back then? And we kind of realized that, you know, a lot of people who are closeted in high school, like when you have a crush, you can't necessarily tell anyone. Like you can't just tell people about things that happen. You can't share your feelings with anyone. And so now being, you know, far removed from those things, a little bit older, a little bit, maybe a little bit wiser, probably not. Kind of like looking back on that and discussing those moments, we found a lot of like similarities in our feelings and our experiences. And we like genuinely hope it opens it up to like other people to have a similar conversation.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Niki was saying, like, yeah, you're, of course you are gay in high school, even if you're closeted, but when you're not out, you very much feel like you're not. And you have to act in a way where you aren't as well. So it's kind of, our story is more about like, you know, being in the places of like a late 20s queer person who's kind of figured themselves out, and then like looking back on who that person was in high school, and like the journey along the way, but also like how you can look at it from a different perspective as an older person who's more comfortable and like still enjoy reminiscing in those moments rather than just re-experiencing some of the trauma, I guess.
Yeah.
So was it very autobiographical?
In some ways, we definitely took a departure, I think, from personal experiences, but a lot of the baseline conversation came from a very candid place between Karen and I. And then, the kind of when we were able to open ourselves up into animation on the film is kind of when we were really like able to just go absolutely nuts with the story. Because with animation, you can show things that are just like impossible to shoot, especially on like a short film budget. And so, when we started writing out animated sequences, figuring out what those were and using them to kind of emphasize those like dumb teen hormone brains and feelings, we just had the most fun writing out what those sequences could look like and using them to really exemplify these inexplicable feelings that we had at the time. So it started in an autobiographical place, and then I think even just maybe to save ourselves a little bit, it took a little bit of a departure from our own stories.
I love the highlighted photo. That was the perfect choice. Yeah.
Yes, we love the cat.
A show with so much acting, but also the little sporadic animation. And that's you on the right. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I just thought it was a very smart idea, but what gave you the idea to do that? How did you think, I know, let's use animation?
Yeah, it was a little bit twofold. I mean, it's really hard to convey closeted feelings in a way that, a non-queer audience might understand. And thinking about how to tell this story visually, our producers, Kim and Adrián, were like, well, let's talk about some other mediums. Like, what are some other mediums we can get into? Like, is it music? Is it animation? Is it visual stuff? Is the film fully animated? Is it not? And so in those kind of early stages of collaboration, like a hybrid of live action and animation seemed really exciting to everybody. And we were very much inspired by the film Diary of a Teenage Girl, which uses both live action and animation sequences. And we actually then got to work with the same animator, Sarah Gunnar-Stortier, for our film, which was an incredible experience. Her and Amanda Bonetto were our animators, and working them was an incredible experience. Really, really fun.
Ebony and I were talking earlier about BuzzFeed, and
I'm curious. So Niki, so you have a background with producing content for BuzzFeed. That's correct, right? So
yeah, I actually met Karen at BuzzFeed. We both worked there for a time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just so interesting because, the film just had this really kind of fresh, like lively connectivity to it. Like it was very something that you would see kind of in our everyday lives. And I kind of love that. So I was wondering, like, what's the secret to creating content that really connects with an audience that way?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? I'm not sure I can wholly answer that, but in my experience, I think what's really cool about the digital space is how close you are to an audience in a way that maybe traditional and linear film and television are not as close. Formats like YouTube, Instagram, social media platforms like that, you know right away, and people get to tell you exactly what they think about your content. But in my background in digital, the thing that kind of always resonated the loudest was authenticity. It was the times that I felt scared to share the things that would make me feel vulnerable, or the stuff that I'd be afraid to talk about in a really public setting. But doing that in a safe way with help from other producers and other collaborators is what really like a lot of young people watching internet content are really looking for. They're looking for identifiers, they're looking for ways in, they're looking for perspectives that are close to theirs. And even opening up about my queer experience online, just the fact that like other people can be like, oh, this is how I feel, this is how this is a thing that I've experienced as well. And it's very much at the heart of our film, which is at times very comedic and very silly and very meme-y, which is funny because it's quite, I think when you say young and fresh, it's very digital speaking. But it's what resonates with people is the emotional point of view. You know, it's the vulnerability and authenticity that we got to share. And it's like, yeah, like people are gonna like cringe when they listen to our stories and they're gonna laugh at it, but they'll also maybe like feel something. So yeah.
I think we both kind of grew up in that period where we grew up with YouTube, you know. So and for closeted queer people, I think that's where a lot of people found others who they can relate to, and also just like that was their safe space in a lot of ways. At least for me, it was. So I think that voice, we probably were able to carry that through because we worked in a digital space for so long that it's kind of how our voice is as well. So yeah, and that's just how we connected with I guess a younger audience, I would say.
When did you guys decide, you know, let's do this short? And how long did it take you to get from there to today?
Yeah, I think we had initially started talking about this like February, March of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started, you know, writing out a script just because we knew we wanted to work together in something. We didn't know exactly what yet, but we knew it was something. And then it was right around the same time that I'd met our executive producer, Kim, who was just like looking for artists and voice and projects to champion. And she, you know, sounded very interested in the project that we were working on. And kind of once she got on board, we got our 2 other producers on board, and the ball started rolling very quickly. And we, you know, we did a Kickstarter campaign, which was like really cool for us because it was a way to let people know about the project that was happening, about the stuff that we were excited to do, but also like they got to be part of the experience with us, so that, you know, we really truly could not have made this film without the almost 400 backers who supported us financially. So huge thank you to them. So yeah, you know, we shot for 3 days, and the animation process in post made I think the post process a little longer than normal, but you know, we worked in tandem with editing the live action sequences, the animation sequences, and composing our live score from Carla Petullo. So, you know, everything happened in tandem, and it was very messy, and I was very nervous we were going to mess it up, but everybody was so on their game and so collaborative and wonderful to work with. And we finished this October 2019.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds right.
Wow, so it really only took you, I guess, 8 months.
Something around there, yeah.
That's remarkable.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now we'd love to hear from, we do have Ivan Lowenberg and Ingrid Lowe from the short film Encounter. Hey guys.
Hi.
So
Hi.
It's a great transition from you know, where you get in high school to this film. So I think what really stood out to me about Encounter was kind of this really kind of the subtlety and the nuance of how the story unfolded. So I was curious, how do you handle a script like that? How do you, in terms of the score, I know Ingrid, and like in terms of directing choices, how do you tell a story with such subtlety?
Well, thank you. I guess, I mean, the story came, I met the leading actress 12 years ago. She's now 92, but we are very close friends ever since. And during these years, she has been sharing with me some of her concerns of getting old. She has no children, so those concerns could relate to the LGBT community. And I think at some point that sparked in me, I projected myself in that situation probably. So that's why I chose to tell the story of one elder woman and a young man, both one exploring his identity and the other one's already like in the fall of life, so to say. I tried to do, although those are 2 different stories, I wanted to be like a mirror from each other. Like the young guy could be the elder woman at some point in life, and the young guy could be in the future, if nothing changes, this elder woman. So I guess that's how the script came up like that, like, and this intertwined solution, I guess. And with Ingrid, with the score, I mean, she's my sister, and we've been working together also in the last 12 years probably. She has done all the soundtrack from every short film or feature film I've done before, even for TV programs. So I think we understand each other really well because we both have been through similar situations. She's also from the LGBTQ community, but maybe I let her speak in that field.
Well, actually, about the hi everybody. I didn't write the script, so I just add with music or some of my music to the story. And well, Ivan is very minimalist in that. When we talk about music, he doesn't like that music builds the tension. I think he is more the tension is built by the story itself. So I'm a singer songwriter, so I have to go behind. I mean, and be very careful with the music, because maybe, as you know, we have in Mexico this telenovelas culture, and where music carries a lot of the tension of the story. And in this case, we have to be more at the back. I don't know if I'm expressing myself correctly.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. So it has to be, I mean, my work with Ivan is from years. And as he said, we have been through similar stories. And also one of my best friends, she's the pioneer with the LGBT cause in Mexico City with marriage, surrogacy, adoption, and all of that stuff, the trans community. So Ivan and I, we have been living together all this process of Mexico, so to say. And adding to that, we both love arts, and then we have a very, I think, profound bonding where we can work together. Yeah.
That's great. So we do have a question from the audience, actually. So do the songs have a particular name, or why those songs or musical compositions?
Excuse me?
So it's a question from the audience. And so the question is, do the songs have a particular name? And can you speak to why those particular songs? So again, maybe were they created just for the film, or was there inspiration from other songs maybe? Or
it's always, in this case, it's just like music. They don't have a name. Actually, I call them encounter. No, the music is called as the short film. It's not like a song, it's more like ambiance and atmosphere.
Although in my first feature film, which is called Castration, it was a little bit like a coming out movie for me, I guess. So I asked my sister that it's an actual song, that it's also called Castration. So we both have one of our works called the same. And I mean, my sister was already out of the closet by then, but yes, I requested her, please do a song that it's called also Castration. So the final song of the film, it's also a bit of a mix of both stories.
So you guys are brother and sister for real. And
Yeah.
that explains why you look alike. So how wonderful to work on a film with your sibling and to already have that, especially such a family-oriented film as Encounter. I mean, tell us more what it was like working together and how long you guys have worked together on films.
Well, I graduated 12 years ago, and I think, I don't know if in my university Filmworks, she did something of music for me, but my first feature film was in 2010. I shot it, and I produced one before, where Ingrid also sang. But I mean, I think at least I think we understand each other very well, because whenever Ingrid needs feedback for her music, I think she trusts my taste, and it's the same way around. Whenever I need feedback for my film or how she feels regarding the music on the film, we are very often on the same page. So I don't know if it's how they brought us up, that we are alike in that sense. But yes, I don't know. I enjoy working with her.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, me too. I think we understand each other very well, and he knows what I like, what I don't like, and otherwise, yeah. So it's very easy to communicate with each other. So really, it's usually when he asks for something, I think I get it the first or second try, right, Ivan?
Yes, it's usually like, oh yes, over this way, go that way. That's what I want. It's all like we know each other on regarding taste, even though we might have different taste for the specific film taste or music taste. We know what we want for the critiques for. I know what she wants. I know what critiques are useful to her, and she knows what critiques will be useful to make my work better. So that's always nice.
Wow. And also to have such complementary skills as a brother and sister team, where one, is doing the directing, the other has the music, and what a gift. What a gift to have that. Una regalo. I don't speak a lot of Spanish, but I try to show.
Oh, that was Spanish.
From the film on screen, and I wanted to ask you about casting. So I feel like that was such an important part of this film. Tell us about the process for casting this film.
Well, that's the leading lady, leading actress, Magda Vizcaíno, and I actually wrote it for her because she was sharing with me her concerns. So that was, there was no clue. It was only asking her if she wanted to do it. And Jose Melendez is already very famous Mexican actor. She has been nominated several times for the Mexican Academy Awards. And I just there to send him the script and to see if he wanted to join, and he wanted. And most of the cast, also Marta Claudia de Moreno, the actress who plays her mother, she's also very well known in Mexico. And I also sent her the script. Those two actors I didn't know before, but I know their work, and I really like how natural they can play. They are very natural. So that's like the main quality I like about actors. And the partner of Magda Vizcaíno, Leti Gomez, she's an actress I also met 12 years ago in the same film, in Marta. They are friends. They have 60 years of friendship, so that's why I call her to play her partner, and they are such a joy to have on set. And yes, that's how I did no casting at all. It was like direct invitation to the actors I really wanted to have on the film.
Wow, that really showed that it's just really beautiful chemistry. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
So we're going to bring on the director Weston next from the short Wings. On the topic of casting, that film where you had to cast a young cast and then an older cast. Tell us about the process of that, because that was so well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, how did we go about it, really? So Carla was already attached at the start, and obviously co-wrote and co-produced it with me. And to find the person opposite her, so first of all, we cast the young people. That was the sort of the first thing to start with. And our sort of casting agent had found Rosie, and we met with her, and that was really good. And then from there, it was just a case of trying to find the people who would match. I think just working in the sort of British film industry for quite a few years, you end up just meeting lots of people along the way. And so we just put a few feelers out and was just like, hey, do you want to be in this? This would suit you. And they was like, yeah, great. Read the script, looks great. I'm interested. Let me make a few calls. And it was actually fairly straightforward, but just sort of by chance, you know, you sort of know someone or someone else knows someone. Virginia McKenna particularly, she was interested because her son, who does a lot of conservation stuff, and Carl's really massive on conservation, they run the Born Free Foundation. It was like, oh, my mum would love this. Can she give the description? I was like, well, of course, yeah. And then she said, yeah, that's great. So yeah, it was but it was one of them things where before we had any real talent on board, we knew we wanted to make it. And when the talent started rolling in, and the magnitude of the talent was quite unexpected, you know, you'd sort of say, I think with Miriam, for instance, it was more of a case of this film is designed for people who would fit, you know, it's kind of, we've got older people who are lesbian getting married, you know, and that's your situation. Do you think this is okay? Is this a good script? Do you, you know, would you feel that this is something that you would enjoy, or is this wrong, stuff like that? And she read it and was just like, this is amazing, yeah, who would you like me to play? And we was like, oh shit, we only just expected just for you to say this is cool and there's your blessings, good luck with it. So quite early on we had a quite a large cast, and that freaked us out because we didn't have any budget. And suddenly we needed to do it properly. We couldn't just do it with a mobile phone in the back garden. We had to make a proper film.
That's great. Well, it's clear that, you know, I feel like the costume design and the set was so rich, and it seemed like a lot of research had gone into this topic. So was there research done? I mean, how was the script, how did the script come about in terms of doing a story about women during World War II?
Yeah, so we wrote this originally in about 2018, but 2014, I was sort of hired to make a documentary about women through the ages in the area that I'm in. They've got like a bit of bad rep about, you know, dressing up badly and stuff like this and being a bit dim. And so like we was hired to basically make a documentary to say women during the age, they had like the sort of suffragette movement, and the women here fought against equal pay rights. And we had like Boadicea back in the day that, you know, was like fighting against the Romans with her Iceni tribe and stuff like that. And one of them was about the British Land Army, which is a women when men during the Second World War went off to fight. And I sort of had these ideas of like just seeing women in the fields working, and this idea that you hear a lot about the gay men in the Second World War in the trenches and stuff like this is quite common, but I can't even think of anything off the top of my head where in the UK, for instance, where you have women in the sort of Second World War in any sort of like romance. So I just had this cool idea of like just two women seeing each other across the field and sort of getting eye contact and sort of just love at first sight. And that idea just stuck in my head for ages, and I didn't really know where it was going to go or anything of it. And it actually took about a year of me sort of, I think my phone ran out of battery and I was walking home. And so I had an hour to myself without being distracted by social media. And suddenly just the whole idea just fell into place. I was quite inspired as well by the introduction of the film Up, you know, that intro where you see their lives go by, and I was like, oh, I really loved that. And I was like, oh, hold on a minute, yeah, this could be, maybe I could do something like that. That might be quite nice. And I sort of just went home, got the script up, wrote it down, sort of like a rough draft, and then about a week later I contacted Carla, who I thought she looks kind of that English rose traditional look. So, but the costume stuff, particularly, yes. So obviously I worked on a documentary in that time, so I was quite familiar. And then we got in touch with a costume designer who I'd worked with in the past. And sort of 1940s stuff is very popular here, or was last year, in sort of retro fashion. Everyone's sort of into that at the moment. And so getting costumes, getting props, getting set design, stuff like that was pretty easy. And my dad works in the antique industry, so, you know, finding research and stuff to reference from and stuff from libraries, and, you know, it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, properly researched, everything was traditional. All the actual stuff wasn't repro, it was all actually from that time period. But yeah, that was the production designer's job and the costume designer's job to make sure that was precise, because there's lots of people who would be quite keen on pointing out if it was wrong.
What I thought was very amazing and different is that the film was almost equal parts silent movie and traditional film. What gave you that instinct to portray the film that way?
I don't know why. I think with the silent movie part, I just, yeah, really inspired by the film, really inspired by original silent film and how you can show people's lives throughout ages, and this sort of nice sort of flowing through. And then I'm really heavily inspired by sort of this sort of Ken Loach style films, or I don't know if you've seen like I, Daniel Blake, that sort of British indie film where everything looks quite bleak and very realistic and very kitchen sink drama. I just felt like if we're going to have that hard cut to modern day, I wanted to use diegetic sound with sort of police sirens, or just, you know, modern day sounds outside, but then also just break straight into modern day dialogue to really go almost like this was the past and this is the present now. So it was a real conscious move very early on of doing something quite bold and something I haven't really seen before. And it was a bit of a gamble because people may have just gone, that's rubbish, you know, what on earth are you doing? But I just thought, no, I'm sticking to it. I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to try something different. And yeah, people seem to like it because I think it kind of catches you off guard a bit and you're not expecting it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think you were definitely successful. And kind of what Jen was saying, it's a really interesting way to kind of tell this story. But I also felt like with this short, again, with the richness, it almost lends itself to maybe being a feature or doing a longer story. Is that something that you've thought about with this film? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yes, kind of. I just made, I've been hired to do, so I've just done 3 features and I mostly like them. But one of the problems is when you're sort of hired to direct is that you're often hired to direct someone else's idea, someone else's story, and then there's producers telling you how to do your job. And I kind of felt like I wanted to make something of my own. I wanted to take the idea that if I could just get all the crew that I like working with and get a kind of a bit of money and a bit of budget and make almost like a slice of the feature that I would have liked to have made, rather than the features that I sort of get paid to make, it would sort of show off. I think as well, since making it, a lot of people have said it's a great thing, like a good option for sort of TV drama or standalone feature. I think so too, and we are working on some script stuff. But at the same time, in my head, I'm like, I just wanted to make a nice short. I'm not really too fussed about turning it into anything bigger. But you know, I think there's definitely potential there to do some sort of 4-part drama or something like that.
Wow. Well, congratulations on your film. And we should bring all of the filmmakers back. Maybe we can do a giant, all the cubes together here, all the screens together, guys. One thing that I find so interesting about pulling together so many filmmakers when you do these shorts programs and the shorts Q&As is not just getting all these varied stories and all these varied experiences, but allowing the filmmakers to ask each other questions, because I find it's such a great community. So I want to open it up to all of you if you have any questions for one another. You know what? I'm going to throw out the first question. How has, obviously we are all dealing with the pandemic, and as filmmakers, this must be affecting you tremendously. So I'm interested to hear from all of you if you want to jump in, or we could start with Patricia, Patti Cruz in Puerto Rico, and start going through the filmmakers as we did originally. Hopefully Patty's still there.
Yeah, I'm here.
I was checking on your connection there.
Yeah, we're still on. Power zone. Well, it's been really hard to work on projects here ever since the pandemic started. Actually, we had Adrián and I are working together on a pilot for a TV series, and we meant to film it this year, and it hasn't happened yet, and we're not sure when it's going to happen because everything has been paused. And I'm also working on a documentary short, which I've actually have been able to do some filming for it, but it's been like 3-person crew, really small crew, as few people as possible. And it's also a very personal documentary. So a friend of mine who does drag queer shows here in Puerto Rico and like the drag scene here, which we've been able to film some stuff, but not everything because there's no drag shows anymore. Or I mean, not in a physical space. There's actually virtual drag shows going on, which have been interesting. We've been documenting some of them, but it's been really hard to rethink the projects that we've had before to see how they can fit into this new reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you're going through, I'd love to hear projects that you're working on or interested in doing next, even if they're stalled. What would be your dream project?
Yeah, well, Adrián and I are working on this pilot that we want to film. We want to continue doing comedy. So it's called Vistas del Paraíso. It's like Views of Paradise, and it takes place in this condominium, in the front, on the beach. And we want to talk about how the whole business of Airbnbs are taking over condominiums here. So they're kind of taking over residents' space on the island, and we want to do it in a comedic way. So we're we want to have elderly characters, people who live in condominiums are usually people from the older generations. Adrián can speak a little bit more about that. He got the inspiration from his mom and living in a condominium. And we are so excited to make it. It's gonna be really funny, but we're just at a place where we can film yet. And maybe Adrián can speak a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think that the only good thing that you can say is that since we cannot film, it has given us time to rethink a lot of things, rewrite a lot, work on the Bible, on the script, and in that sense, it has been nice to reflect a lot more about the story. But you can reflect eternally on something. You need to film it now. So in that sense, it has been good, and we are really excited for that to be filmed, and we have expectation that that the whole series can be filmed eventually when this is over.
So Niki and Karen, what about for both of you? How's quarantine?
Yeah, I mean, obviously nothing's shooting right now, especially not at an indie level. I think maybe, some larger productions, people with money are able to start shooting stuff soon. But for me, it's just been a couple months of just writing and recharging and figuring out what projects are next. With Were You Gay in High School, there's been some interest in optioning as a show. So we're doing some development work there, which is very exciting. Hopefully there's more official stuff to share soon. Outside of that, I've been developing a feature. I was part of a writer's fellowship earlier in the year to work on that. So it's, it's baby steps. It's figuring out how to be okay every day and be a little bit productive and then a little bit not. So yeah, it's been fun to kind of just reconnect with some other writers, and even with the virtual fests, it's been really exciting meeting other filmmakers and just connecting with them and doing FaceTimes and chats and Zooms with them and seeing what they're working on. And so I think it's tough, but it's an interesting time to connect and to develop and to talk and get to know people. And I think that's the saddest part of virtual fests is not being there in person and meeting all of you. So even stuff like this where we're able to connect, I think is really satisfying for me.
What about you, Karen? Are you having fun out there in LA?
Yeah, just like Niki said, we're still we're happy that Where You Gay in High School is still moving along, and we have a couple of other festivals to look forward to as well, so that's cool. And you know, possibilities of a show is also very exciting. I've talked to a couple of people about some documentary projects, so you know, we'll see how I can utilize this time at home to get those rolling, and hopefully be ready to shoot when we're all allowed to do that again.
Now, Ingrid, you are a singer-songwriter. So are you working on an album right now, or are you someone who likes to sing live? And how is this affecting you, Ingrid?
Well, actually, I have been very happy because, as I said before, it's like the doors were closed, but for us musicians, it opened the door to the world. So I started to work on my first world tour from home. So I love this challenge, this new challenge of trying to reach more people from a static place. Because before I was going out playing around in the city, but sometimes then you I mean, the vision is maybe shorter because I have to go and play here at the corner and then another event or concert. But now that I don't have that, I started thinking of other possibilities. So I'm gonna have this world tour on November. You're invited. And yeah, I've been working on new songs, and also, I don't know if you know the concept serenatas in Mexico, where you play for people you love. So I'm doing this virtually. So people, if they wanna have music for a gift for a person they love, they call me and I sing and dedicate some songs to that person. So the dynamic for me is working much better, I think. Obviously, is the energy of a live event is it doesn't have a competition. I mean, it's unique, but I think I'm working on other possibilities, so I'm very happy with that.
What is your website, Ingrid? So people who
Thank
are
you.
helping you or downloading something that you've been doing, what is your website?
Thank you, Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and all the media, social media, as Ingrid Low Music, LOW. And I'm on Spotify and all of that, and I'm gonna be announcing and spamming all of you with that event if you let me. But yeah, thank you for asking for that.
Oh, we had a request from the audience to sing a little song, so maybe they can check you out on YouTube.
You wanna me to sing a song right now?
It's an audience request.
Oh, if you wanna, I can do it. I don't know if we have time for this, but if you want me to do it, I could do it.
Why don't we hear the projects from the rest of our filmmakers, and if we have like a minute left, you can serenade us out of our show.
Okay, great. Deal.
Yvonne, how about you?
Well, I've been writing a lot. That's pretty much what I can do right now. I usually, all of my films so far have been self-financed with very small funds from somewhere. But usually I have to work for some other people's projects. I save money and I do my project, no? So it's always very, very indie, and also always with friends, charging nothing. So sometimes my future film projects or other scripts are always like waiting for me to have time to rewrite or write from scratch. So I was very productive the first 2 months. I think I wrote a whole new script and I rewrote 2 other scripts I had always pending over there. But the last 2 months I've been very lazy. Like I think I soak up all the energy at the beginning, like, yes, this was what I needed. But I thought it was going to be shorter, and now I always like, I have to write now. I have to. I mean, I'm touring the world with the festivals right now, virtually also, and that's all what I have to do right now. The short film started the festival route. I mean, it started last year, but the pandemic started, and then it started the route really like in a very fast track. In the last 2 months, it has been Q&As virtually, etc. So that's what I have been doing. I hope I can shoot whatever I wrote in the first trimester of next year.
And Jamie, how are things in London? You said you went to a pub.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like lockdown hasn't even happened anymore. Everyone's just back to normal pretty much. It's a bit weird. Everyone's got masks on, but it's pretty much everyone's back to work. Yeah, it's mostly it's not as busy as it used to be. Definitely, people are more cautious, but I think the idea is that everyone's a bit tired with the government and everyone's just getting on with it now. It's all everyone for themselves at this point. Lockdown's been odd. I sort of freelance, but I also work for other companies, and so I've actually haven't been furloughed. I've been pretty much non-stop editing and working, but editing non-stop from the house makes you kind of lose the plot, which is why I bought loads of plants so I could feel like I'm in the garden by just turning around at some points. And just been doing loads of animation and just putting my sort of producer head on and doing stuff like producing other people's content, which I thought would be nice, helping people with music projects and animating projects and photo projects and other sort of things, transferable skills. If I can't be making films, I can be helping someone produce some of their work. And there was some 360 motion capture content that someone wanted to make with some music that they'd written, stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, sure, come in the studio and make it safe. I'll help you out. So it's just been doing stuff for other people, really, just because, can't really do much else at the moment. So that's been fun, been busy.
Well, I have to tell you, because of the pandemic, a lot of the films that were submitted have actually backed up. And so we have had more films submitted to us because, as you know, many of the festivals had to cancel and then go to shorter programming. So more festival films submissions than ever. And for you all to be in this particular shorts program, we never had such a strong group. It's such a pleasure to, I feel like we're, Stanford, with our admissions, like everybody wants to go there. Just, there's been such an enormous amount, and you guys are the ones. You guys are the ones who we selected, because your shorts were just outstanding. This is such an exceptional program, such an exceptional group of filmmakers. I'm so proud to be talking to all of you, and I wish you all the best. Congratulations on your films. I hope that all of you take them to the next level, get the series that you want. We're of course looking forward to seeing more of you guys and more of what you guys produce. And without further ado, Ingrid Lowe, take us away.
Okay, everybody agrees? Give me a second. How much time do we have?
All night. 5 minutes.
Okay. Let me. song burning my feet. I can feel the breeze drying my tears. Think I am ready. Whoa, think I am ready. I can feel the rain washing those memories away. I can feel the air, it makes me breathe again. Think I am ready. Whoa, whoa, think I am ready. Yeah. Whoa. So take me high as high as you can. And make me fly, fly again. Oh, I can see the clouds moving so far away. I can feel the warmth melting my veins. Think I am ready. Whoa, whoa. Think I am ready. Yeah, yeah. Whoa. So take me high as high as you can. And make me fly, fly again. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Think I am ready. Oh, think I am ready. Yeah. Oh, so take me high as high as you can. And make me fly, fly again. Yeah, yeah. So take me high, say as you can. And make me fly, oh, again. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, 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 yeah. Whoa, oh. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for coming to Outshine Film Festival and Music Festival tonight. Everyone go to outshinefilm.com. Make sure you check out our virtual program. Ebony, you're an amazing co-host.
You too, Jen.
Love you guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night.
Have a great night.
Hi, Ebony.
Hey, Jen.
Wow, that was great.